Even if the name Moist Critical doesn't mean anything to you, aka Penguin Zero, aka Charlie, you would probably feel at least a vague sense of familiarity if I showed you a picture of the guy. He's one of the biggest stars on YouTube with over 15 million subscribers, who's been grinding for years putting out daily content. His style, from what I've seen, consists of putting out the most fence-sitting, mass appeal, generally accepted takes on any given topic, while acting aloof and irreverent and apathetic, and dropping in the occasional word that a 4-year-old might find naughty, like it's some kind of ironic humor thing.
Mash that like button, lit fam. If this video hits 50,000 likes, I'll flex my asshole on video camera at 3 a.m. Never know what might happen there.
And that might sound like a harsh review, but I really don't have anything against this guy. He seems like a genuinely decent fellow, which I'm sure is a big part of his appeal and why so many people watch his content. I personally wouldn't watch it because based off of what I have seen, I just cannot imagine this guy saying something that would make me go, huh, never thought about it like that. But recently, a few days ago, Charlie did a 3-hour live stream with a guy named Sneako, who is another content creator, a more controversial one, banned from YouTube, and known for having some hot takes on things like age of consent and Zionism, although it's mostly the age of consent stuff, surprise, surprise, that he gets criticized for. But this debate did not go well for Charlie, and after a few rough days of criticism and backlash for some of the things he said, there was a Patreon post for one of the podcasts he appears on called The Boys, where they said, "Show update, goodbye Charlie. Hey everyone, effective immediately, Charlie has made the decision to leave both the official podcast and Red Thread. He wants to go on an indefinite hiatus to scale back his time spent on the internet." This news immediately resulted in even more criticism on Twitter and people posting memes like this one: "Tries to form an opinion once, fucking dies," which is a play on the old "gets criticized once, fucking dies" meme. But what exactly was so bad about this debate he did with Sneako? Well, we're going to get into that, but first it's worth noting that these two have a history with each other. They had another debate, I think a little over a year ago, and that one was generally well received for Charlie, and so it's possible he went into this one thinking it was going to be another layup. And Charlie has videos on his YouTube channel like this one, Sneako is Horrible, from a year ago that has 15 million views. So it's safe to say there's a little bit of tension, a little bit of animosity between these two. So they had a second debate together recently, and Charlie went in on Sneako on the age of consent stuff, specifically in the context of marriage, with Charlie asking him a bunch of questions like, would you be okay with someone this age marrying someone that age?
I'm arguing for this because I believe in marriage. Sex should only be within wedlock. That's why I'm talking about this.
So then why, if you're arguing, we can take sex out of it. Why, when you're arguing for marriage, do you want it to drop? Like, okay, 16.
When did I say, just because I don't believe in the age of consent does not mean that I want it to drop. Like, see, that's where like the internet can go apply that just because I'm saying.
Well, no,
because you're saying the definition of an adult is 18. I'm saying that's an arbitrary number and that makes no sense.
But there needs to be an agreed upon place. Otherwise, you get into this area. Again, you said when you can legally drive, you should be able to legally marry.
Right.
We don't have to talk about sex. Do you think it's okay to be marrying a 15 or 16-year-old? Probably not, right? Like I would imagine, probably not.
It depends. So this is where the age of consent becomes arbitrary. I don't even believe like that. Consent is a weird thing to even speak about, but it should be the father, right? If I want to marry a girl, I shouldn't even just get consent from her. I should get consent from her parents. She should want to say yes. Her parents should want to say yes. That's consent from the family, and then you get married. That's the Islamic way. That's the only way that makes sense. This American way of this girl wants to have sex now, she gave consent, and then you get all these false allegations like, oh, she was drunk, oh, she took it back, oh, she retracted consent. All this stuff, like there's not even a specific way that we can define consent. What is consent?
So a lot of the debate focused on how do you determine what is an adult. Sneako's position seems to be that you're an adult once you've gone through puberty, whereas Charlie's position is that you become an adult at midnight on your 18th birthday. And Sneako is always against premarital sex or sex outside of wedlock, but he's not against people under 18 getting married in certain conditions. There are certain restrictions he wants in place, like consent from both of the families, the parents, and everyone involved. But beyond that, he doesn't have a problem with it. And this is actually actually a very uncontroversial take in many parts of the world. But Charlie knows that most people, if they hear you say, I don't care if a 21-year-old marries a 16-year-old, you know, as long as all of these things are being adhered to, he knows that 95% of the internet is going to think you're a fucking disgusting creep for saying something like that. As for my own personal opinions on the topic, I'm not going to get into it in this video because if I did, I would get canceled so bad. No, I'm just joking. I'm actually going to go into it in a follow-up video I plan to record as soon as I get finished with this one, where I just really kick the tires on this belief that anything with a over 18 and an under 18 is bad. And I'm going to use Tom Dark as my punching bag for doing that. So stay tuned for that, hit subscribe, etc. Another thing that Charlie did throughout the debate was frequently appeal to the law of the land and the general social mores of our time, which state that the age of consent should be around 18. But when Sneako would point out that actually the age of consent is 16 in a lot of places, Charlie didn't seem to have any kind of way to address that. And it's the same for marriage, by the way. If you look at minimum marriage age in the United States, your cursory search will tell you it's 18. But what you'll find if you dig a little bit deeper is that 18 is the minimum age in most places to get married without parental consent. The actual common average age to get married with parental consent in the United States is 16, with a handful of states going even lower. For example, in Hawaii, 15-year-olds can get married with parental consent and a judicial order. Same in Mississippi, but only if you're female, kek, and also New Mexico. So point being, if you want to argue that it's immoral for a 16-year-old to get married, 20-year-old, or to have sex with a 20-year-old, you probably shouldn't appeal to the law to make your argument. But where it got turned around on Charlie is when Sneako started asking him about his opinions on people under 18 transitioning their gender.
Do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting, as you agree with.
Okay, so as long as everyone...
If your parents are okay with it and you are okay with it, I think that's totally a familial decision to make, yeah.
Okay, so a child can cut their penis off and take hormone blockers and change their biology forever, but they can't get married?
Well, that's a decision that now extends beyond the family, because now you're bringing in a different party. So if you have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child, I don't think that can happen under any circumstance.
So,
no.
But it's still a personal decision. You're still deciding.
Because there's
take the other party out of the equation.
It's
a personal decision. If I'm 16 and I personally want to marry this girl, she's beautiful. She's 21 years old. Her family wants to do it. My family wants to do it. You're saying I can't do that. We're both consenting. I'm ready to go. I'm physically mature, but I'm not allowed to marry because Moist says that woman's a pedophile. But if then the next day I leave it, I'm depressed, I want to cut my penis off, I can go right into the clinic, snip it off, and start taking HRT like Chris Tyson. That's a society that makes sense to you?
What an absolutely brutal takedown. Even your average midwit Destiny fan could spot the logical inconsistencies in Charlie's positions at this point. When it comes to sterilizing yourself for life with puberty blockers, it's my body, my choice. But when it comes to marriage, isn't there someone you forgot to ask? If anything, it's even worse than just being inconsistent because puberty blockers and the sterility that they cause is irreversible, whereas a young person getting into a bad marriage is something that they could potentially recover from at some point. So Charlie started getting flack for this on the internet. Not only was it logically inconsistent, but it turns out that if you support children transitioning, there's a lot of people who actually have strong feelings about that. And even the expert consensus on this issue is a lot more contentious than what people like John Leibowitz would have you believe. Kind of obvious that Charlie's not used to this kind of pushback. He's used to being the guy that everybody agrees with. And so he went later and did a cope stream where he once again tried to argue his case.
He point blank multiple times said, yes, an adult can marry a child if the parents say it's okay. Like, I don't understand. It's cultural. The West used to do that as well. Used to. Yes. We also used to eat our own fucking poop, but we evolve. We get better. We grow. We learn. And I've never been particularly shy about my stance on trans people. I don't know why people are so surprised. I've never hated trans people or anything, or like transitioning. So I don't understand where all of this is coming from. And I think maybe people just have this idea that when you transition, it's like that. So like a 9-year-old goes in and immediately has their dick cut off, like Sneako kept saying. I don't know if he really believes that or if it's just hyperbole. This has been a really fucking frustrating week, honestly. Usually internet shit doesn't get to me, but this week has been really miserable. Like, unironically. Getting called a transphobe, like, all kinds of stuff, and now getting called the opposite. Like, it's actually unreal. Like, the internet's reached the point where no matter what, you can't win. If someone's made their mind up about you, or if you have something that disagrees, it actually, you are the worst person to them, and they will spin it in any way possible. Which blows my fucking mind. And it's just really nauseating. But it's what's mind-boggling to me is that that's the big takeaway from our whole conversation. None of him talking about actual fucking 12 to 16-year-olds marrying adults. Like, it blows my fucking mind. It's been a brutal fucking week. Because, again, it's, no matter what, it's a lose-lose. I was a transphobe to a lot of people 12 hours ago. Now, it's swung the total opposite direction. And yet, nothing else. Nothing else. It's just such a fucking terrible landscape.
And so you get this statement about him leaving the podcast, which, for what it's worth, as I'm working on this video, people are already disputing that he's leaving the internet, quote unquote, that he's just dialing it back, but he's still going to be producing content, which is entirely plausible. Even without that, I wouldn't expect a guy like Charlie to be gone for long, because I don't think people are doing this job just for money. I think you have to be a little bit of an attention whore to do this for a living. You have to feed off of the validation that you're getting from your adoring audience on a regular basis. So it's not like, oh, I can't do a normal job, I don't know how, and it's not, I have tens of millions of dollars, I'll just fade into the sunset. They need to be here. It's the love of the game, people. I don't know if you saw this, but Dr. Disrespect just posted on Twitter today and is just going ham on anybody giving him grief in the replies. Like here he says, good one, she, her. The internet will never fix your real threat, depression. Damn, Dr. Disrespect, more like Dr. Bass. But yeah, anytime one of these massive creators tells you they're quitting and leaving the internet, like Boogie, Moist, Disrespect, your response should just be like, okay, see you next Tuesday, buddy. But I do want to give a hat tip to Sneako for how he reacted to this information, because a lot of people would just do a victory lap and say, haha, yeah, it turns out the guy who was calling me horrible is a giant pussy. But Sneako took the high road. He said, for years, everyone has seen cancel culture attack me and I have never quit. My advice is to never take a break and never show weakness. Keep your head up, brother. Moist Critical. And I know a lot of people don't like Sneako, but this is the kind of thing that I find endearing about him. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for my next video coming out soon, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Peace out.
You're such a little tart. Ooh, a little tart. Oh, you little silly munchkin. Ooh. Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me. Hey, Charlie, do you want a beer? Well, do I cry when I jerk off? Give me that.